Okay, guys, this is Micah with ECAP, and we're talking about the next step in getting that job as a teacher. So, we've talked about how, when, and where to apply, and now we're going to talk about okay, I've done all these things right, and now I've got an interview. So, let's talk about how to approach your interviews as a teacher. I say interviews, plural, because you won't get your job on the first interview. As a matter of fact, your first interview is going to be a devastating failure. And you just need to be okay with that. That's just how it goes. You've never talked about educational stuff before. You've never had to explain to someone what a lesson plan would look like for you or what your classroom management plan is. You've never done these things. So it's going to be a failure. And that's just what it is for everyone. You might even still get another second interview in that same school district or even at the same school. That's okay. You haven't ruined anything. You haven't changed your chances or totally messed up. Don't give up. You're going to mess up your first interview. On that note, I'm going to talk to you about how to prepare for the first interview so that you can apply all these things to the second one. How's that? So first of all, make sure that you research the school. And this is for any job. This isn't just education. But schools, you have companies that you can work for. Sometimes they're really interesting and they do something really cool and you can research it and get and build it up. A school always has that. A school always has some sort of school pride, right? They've got mascots, they've got mottos, they've got missions, right? Those are the 3 M's. You need to know those things. You need to know their colors, their school colors, and you need to know how you look in those colors. They're awesome for my wardrobe. I love red. I look great in red. So make sure that they understand that you've looked at their website, you understand, or you live in the area, and this is like your school, right? Make it feel that way. What sports teams do they have, and how do they do? Is that a topic to be avoided if their sports teams aren't so great? Has this school won any awards? All schools get report cards, and if this school is doing well with the state on their report cards, it'd be a great thing for you to know that, to say, hey, I see y'all get A pluses with TEA, right, every year. So I think that's great, and I'm excited about working here. Research the school. Their whole website's there, and you don't really need any more than their website to do that. Now, for you, right, to go into the interview, have a lesson plan in mind, okay? A lesson plan is not just a list of activities. A lesson plan is an arrangement of activities and events and instructions that gets a kid from thinking on a lower based knowledge level thinking to a higher level thinking, like an evaluation or a synthesis type thinking. So have a lesson plan. And if you haven't designed the most wonderful lesson plan in the world and you're just not exactly you're not totally proficient at that, there are so many lesson plans online that can just be stolen for free, and you should do that. Teachers steal things, and we understand that we steal from each other. No teacher, if they've posted their stuff online, they don't mind you using it. So go ahead and steal it if it's a good lesson plan. Just make sure it fits your personality. Don't steal a lesson plan that wouldn't work for you, but have some lesson plans in mind. Now, next, procedures. Or I should say, have a discipline plan, right? Some teachers have school or class rules. You will not do this, you will not do that, you will not do the other. And ECAP kind of preaches against that approach. ECAP tells you that you need to have procedures. A procedure, if a child doesn't do it correctly, can be retaught to the child without having to have a consequence immediately upon their first infraction. A rule, on the other hand, requires a consequence. And you will find that school is this tug of war between the student's actions and you giving consequences for those actions. Many times you kind of run out of things like, what can I do as a consequence for this? So have procedures, and that helps you avoid the problems of rules, which they say were made to be broken. Now, if you don't understand what Bloom's taxonomy is and what these procedures and rules are, and by the way, I'm gonna interject. Your rules, your procedures, they need to have a taste of what we call Maslow's hierarchy in them. You cannot teach a student who is hungry. You cannot teach a student who does not have a place to sleep. at night. There are certain needs that students have that have to be met before you can have any hope of having them retain knowledge, right? That's low on the list until the other needs have been met. And if you don't understand Maslow's hierarchy and you don't understand what Bloom's taxonomy is, then what that tells me is that you have not completed your connections course. That you're sitting here, you're getting ready to go to an interview, and you haven't done ECAP's very first piece of training called connections. So that's tip number, I think we're on 4. Tip number 4, go do the connections course for ECAP before you sit for an interview. That course comes first for a reason. We have been doing this for more than 20 years, and we understand when you need to know what, right? So we deliver connections first, hopefully before you go sit for an interview, because connections is going to build your foundation that you're going to be able to understand what Bloom's what a lesson plan is, why you're doing this activity first and the next activity second, and it's going to help you understand how to create classroom procedures. If you walk into your first interview and you have a good lesson and you have your procedures in line, the odds are you're going to get a call back. Okay, so that's what you want to have done: lesson plans and discipline plans. Now, when you get into your first interview or any interview during your first year of searching, you want to explain your experience level early. In other words, you walk into the room and you make sure that everyone in that room understands, hey, I've never taught. This will be my first year of teaching, and I'm so excited to come into this industry. Now, this is also where you can explain the reason you want to be a teacher. I did this other career, but I have a calling. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I have a heart for kids. And you need to explain to them that you're in this for the right reason. And that cannot be for your schedule. It cannot be so that your kids go to the same school that you go to and you have summers off. It cannot be because you think teachers have a better work schedule than the rest of the world, because none of that stuff is true, right? First of all. But second of all, if you don't have a heart for kids, you won't last in this industry. It is one of those things. It's a tough job. And if you're getting satisfaction from it, then you'll be able to stay in it. It's as simple as that. Your satisfaction has to come from student success. If that is not where you find your satisfaction, you just don't need to be a teacher. And they sitting at that table have lived through that experience and they understand that. So they will be able to identify a person who's coming to this for the wrong reason. So while you're explaining your lack of experience, also explain how much heart you have for this and passion that you have for this, for students. So in summary, I'd like to say, first of all, your first interview is not going to be good. Don't be defeated by that. Have a good lesson plan. Have a good discipline plan. Make sure that they understand where your heart is and that you might be inexperienced, but that you have life experience, but that you also have a heart for students. And probably most importantly, research the school, because a lot of people walk into interviews and they don't. And if you can tell them things that you know about their school, that's going to be one of those points in the interview that they remember. Good luck.